Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the Divine Intervention. I am your host, Erlisha Young. I pray that this week, your weekend thus far has been blessed. And we come to you today, as I shared with you on last week, I am so excited about all that God is doing in the lives of each and every one of us. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Danny D.C. Floyd. Today he is just going to elaborate just a little bit on his story. We all know that behind all the fortune and fame that there's always a story. So before we go forth, I'm just going to allow him the opportunity to greet you, and then we will move forward with this live stream.
Hello all the watchers at the Divine Intervention. Appreciate y'all for having me today. I'm D.C. Floyd, Williston native, Williston raised, barber, and owner of Country Boy Cuts, well, co-owner of Country Boy Cuts Barbershop and Salon in Williston, Florida.
All right, well, first we're going to start out by just asking you just to share a little bit just about yourself. You said that you're a native of Williston. I'm sure that just throughout your life that you have faced some challenges, and if the truth be told, we all had a point in our life where we felt like we hit a roadblock. So is there something that you would like to share with us just to maybe encourage someone who may be trying to find their way in life and maybe, just ready to give up? Just a little encouragement.
The best encouragement that I would have would be to find someone older in life who, one, you can talk to, and two, who will listen. You lucky if you'll find one that'll share their experience and knowledge with you, but I myself took it upon myself to find a lot of views of older people who woke up every morning and went through the struggles and strifes of life, and all of them different, but in all of them they have the same similarities in sacrifice and struggle and pain and happiness, So I would say try to get somebody older in life, because one, if they're older in life, that means they still living.
Yes.
So that's the objective while you're on earth, is to live.
Yes.
And hopefully live to the best of your ability. So if they share with you their wisdom, a lot of times they have made a lot of mistakes too, which we all will make. But it's how you approach the decisions after making the mistakes and how you handle them. What a lot of us need to learn how to better ourselves. So that would be the advice I give: find you somebody older and ask them questions. Be open and honest with them if you can confide in them. You can't confide in everybody, but there are those that are earthly willing to help your soul with wisdom and knowledge if you ask. Because if you don't ask, you'll never get fed. That's my mentality. That's what I would say.
So what were some of the struggles that you faced? It's funny you say that about finding someone older than you, because the majority of the time that I have down, I spend with women much older than myself. And a lot of times I ask myself, why, are you always around older women? And I hear outside people, you don't ever do anything. All you do is just hang around old people. You act like you just an old lady or something like that. But the thing is, like you said, wisdom. They can tell me something. And a lot of times, some of you don't want to hear, but you hear it, but you understand sometimes it's not for that moment. It's when you get in that place and it's like, I remember. So just getting back, what were just some of the struggles that you faced?
Let me see if I want to answer this correctly, because life has so many different types of struggles. Like, you have your physical struggles, then you have your mental struggles, and then you have the unforeseen struggles that you got to deal with on site or on spot. So it's like, I would have to say a lot of my struggle came from being rebellious and disobedient.
Because you came from good, right?
Yes.
A lot of us do.
I had the very best upbringing. It wasn't the most rich. It definitely was not the most lenient. But I appreciate the way my mom and them raised me, but it was very tough as a child to be held at a high standard, because that's what my mom and dad did. They held us at high standards because they felt that we were exceptional in God's eye. They never looked at us as being better than anyone, but it was all this extra push to be better and to do better and to know right from wrong and good and bad and how to separate yourself from, like I knew. But the reality of life and supposed friendship and association sometimes causes you to go astray from your
upbringing.
Yes. And you know better as you're doing these things, and I have labeled them sin because, you know, I grew up in a house where we couldn't play cards. Like, they were not a pair of cards, a deck of cards, a box of cards in the house, not even gin rummy. My mama didn't allow it. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I see cards are a national thing. Everybody know how to play poker, tomp, gin rummy, spades, all the things. Like, it's these games that people got a science to winning, and like people practice and know how to play. But my mom looked at it as, you will not participate in this house, and it was things like that that caused me to be rebellious, because I would see other people do it and I would be like, okay, the percentage is so high of everybody else doing it. What makes us so different, or why are we happen to be so particular about this? And it would make me certain things try them.
Mm-hmm.
And in trying the things, sometimes the feelings of euphoria are exciting, or like mesmerizing, or like, oh, I can do what my mom said we weren't supposed to do.
Trick of the enemy.
So all of these cons,
Yeah.
at a young age, they were coming, man. Like, all kind of stuff, man. Like, some things too deep to even share. Like, but struggles came because of how we were raised. I built up a way to look at things. And then, like, you know, by my mom and dad being Christian, very devout, dedicated, and faithful Christians, after I had seen them in a life of sin. So it was like this contradiction that kind of made me be rebellious too, but in rebellion came struggle. Because I feel like had I not been rebellious, I just think back and rewind all of the things that came to me at an early enough age to prevent all destruction. Like I knew, like God, I am a believer in God. And I believe that God changed their life early enough to straighten our path. They didn't make it perfect. But if God had not changed my parents' life at that time, sinfully, I don't know where I would have ended up.
Wow. Wow. If you think about what you were sharing about how our parents set standards for our lives, and because we feel like we know better, oh, I can do that. Like with cars, what your mom realized was much like God is with us, that once you start that behavior, it opens up other doors. Because eventually you start playing cards with all kind of people. And when you start hanging out with all kind of people, you start getting introduced to drugs, alcohol, all of this different kind of stuff. So it was like, oh, I can play cards. But she knew the other side of that, what seemed to be
innocent
behavior. And it's much like God with us. When he say, don't fornicate, that, don't steal, don't kill. He knows the other side of those things that he has put on us. But always, because I can think about myself. When my grandmother told me I had a calling on my life. Okay. No. I called myself wanting to smoke weed.
That's a heavy call.
Who smokes weed to sleep, eat, and go and clean up the house? And it was like I hit this pit where, what you doing this for? Sleep, eat, clean. You don't need no drugs for that.
You can do that, well-minded.
And then like the little problems that I thought I had, they would be right there when it was all over. But all of that came from trying to be around people that wasn't necessarily like me. They would always ask, why you here?
Because those are the ones that we are attracted to by the sinful nature of our mind. It is going to lead you to the road. Just the sinful nature. And that's where the war and the struggles of your mind come into play, where if you don't have a good foundation, sometime, and I'm not here to say that people who are in these realms are bad people, because I have met a lot of so-called bad people that are the best friends in my life presently. But the way that they live is not productive for how I was raised. So in how I was raised, because how I was raised, I do respect my parents for giving me the morals and virtues, but there were a lot of sins that I would consider were fun enough at the time to go to hell for.
Wow.
And that is just the being honest, deep part of a person's mind that you may never get. But I knowingly sinned in a lot of my life. Mm-hmm. To one, impress man, because I would see them attempt these sins and didn't look like they were having as much fun as I probably could. And if we're going to hell, you ain't having fun enough. Type up. You know what I'm saying? My attitude was always,
so if you're going to do it,
on the edge. And if my late grandmother Alice Carnegie used to always tell us, no matter what you do, be the best at it. I don't care if it's sweeping the floor or painting the house or cutting the hair or whatever, and you have so many things. There's no limitation. But whatever you do, be the best. And unfortunately, I'm guilty of taking that into the negative realm of my mind. When I was sinning, I wanted to get away with the most sin.
So you real deal dove in.
Like, have you ever swam at an Olympic-sized swimming pool?
Mm-mm. I done seen one, but I never.
Have you ever seen the high diving board with the spring?
Mm-hmm.
You know how they run up to it, bounce again, and jump as high as they can.
Wow.
You know, usually you're supposed to put your hands down to protect yourself going into water. But I used to like to jump off the high dive and do my hands on my side and go in head first, literally.
Wow.
As a young child. So in life, I adapted that same mentality when I went into the street.
Wow.
Literally head first. If you're gonna kill me, I'm ready.
Wow.
I considered myself as the sacrifice at one moment of life. I was prepared to die. I had all of these negative intentions to try to do to set my family up for life type of thing. So when it came to the guns and the drugs and the bullets, because a gun is nothing without a bullet.
Yes.
And I was prepared to take those bullets and insert them into people at that moment because of rebellion. I knew better.
Wow.
But since I'm on this side, my granny say you will go to hell, son. If I'm going to hell, Miss Young, I'm going to need to rack up all the fines that hopefully when I get there, I could take that over too.
Wow. I tell people oftentimes, your mind
Is a powerful thing.
So you got the mind that hook up with what you see when you know they say don't believe nothing you see, and then what you hear, and all three of them get together, and then your heart ain't where it need to be. It create a mess. And people, they see you in this state, but it's like they don't understand. It started here.
In the mind.
I came from good.
I came from great.
And a lot of us, had praying grandmothers, had all that.
My parents never missed a basketball game, never missed a football game. My mom was a school bus driver for the same job for 30-some years and retired. My daddy was a custodian in the same county for 30-some years and retired. Like, I came from a loving, nurturing home, but the society that I grew up in looked and frowned upon that.
Wow. I can relate with that because, kids will look at the fact that you got a certain
They
type
hated
of parent.
that, and they probably in their heart wished that they had that, and I, in my heart, pitied that they didn't feel, because it was the greatest thing in the world. But sometimes even that would piss you off to the point where that ain't the most perfect life either for you to be so jealous of. Like, me and
I
my
couldn't
mom
do that,
had
The
buddy
street
and
light on.
all kind of like, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great thing to have. But some nights I was jealous of the kid that didn't have the daddy to tell them to come home, and I could drive by at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and y'all still at the store or wherever hanging out, nobody asking where y'all at. I couldn't go around the corner without my mama calling where I was going to verify. See, back then it wasn't no texting. It was verification.
Yeah.
They're going to call where you say you
Yeah.
going, and if you ain't there in an allotted time, it's going to be problems.
Yes.
When you get there, it's going to be problems, and when you get home, because people had permission to chastise children outside their blood back then. Like, it didn't have to be an auntie or cousin. It could be the neighbor. If you was caught doing wrong, you could get it right there So it was hard for me because my mama had like detective tendencies. That's what kind of made me so good at getting away with crime, because man, my mama was a hard nose. She smelt fear, she seen guilt, like, and everything that I tried, I lost everything. So I was never able to grow up with the conceit of being this winner, or feel like everything gonna go my way, or I grew up with the objective of always trying to think of a better way, because I can't beat my mama.
So you're gonna try to go around it.
I can't beat her. She got to be wrong. Like it got to be something that I know. I can't be this dumb. But my parents were always right when it came to how they raised me up, and through the rebellion and the consistent loss. Consistent loss. And losses come in all types of ways. But every way that I tried against their upbringing, I lost. So, being that I was raised as real, and as we call in our generation, G, not gangster, just G. Because it ain't, I'm not a gangster by no means. I never tried to be a gangster. I never wanted to be this thug killer. But I was very mischievous and disobedient. I never needed like cliques and teams of homeboys, because my mama wouldn't let me have them. So a lot of people look at me like, why you so standoffish, or why you act like, it's not that, but how I was raised, I couldn't never have. So I built up this routine on how I live to get away with stuff from my mother. And most of the time when I would do stuff, people would tell on me.
Wow.
Sometimes to save themselves, and other times to throw me under the bus, because I was looked at as this better, because how my parents raised me. It was this way that they wanted me to be represented in the public eye, that I didn't all the way agree with, but I had to do. So it was this image thing that I couldn't let you spoil for me. Y'all could just openly show everybody that y'all of the things, smoke weed, drink Old English.
I got to sneak.
The Mad Dog. Y'all could, you know what I'm saying? Your uncle passing you the joint. See, I could never. So I learned to do all those things alone. And the drugs began to be my friends.
Wow.
So what I would do, like in any friendship, you're going to try to amass the best friends you can.
Wow. Wow. That's a good way to put it.
And the friends of drugs never told on me.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And in those drugs, I could go to all types of boundaries and limitations, and because of God, it never killed me, but I learned a lot through the use of drugs about people, lifestyle, and all of the other things that my parents were teaching me. It was a lot of places that I didn't have to go, or didn't have to end up in, or didn't have to understand, if I would have just submitted.
Just listen. And the truth of the matter is, that's true for a lot of us.
And
we know better.
We know better, man.
It's like driving down the road going 100 miles an hour. At what point?
I can drive 100, but you need good tires on them.
See how you make it an exception of it? Until the police jump behind you.
Ready to get the ticket. It's like accountability.
Yes.
In life, we as people must have accountability, and you can't put your accountability on nobody else, because you came here alone.
Yes. That's true.
But that's what tends to happen nowadays in life is a lot of people tend to congregate without accountability. And then in the congregation, when stuff go down, if ain't nobody been certified as accountable, that's when the storm comes.
Mm-hmm. Accountability.
I've learned in dealing drugs and with people, I like to sleep at night because I hardly ever get sleep. When you are a person that's a dedicated person, and dedication comes with a lot of characteristics, because when you dedicated to something, you're going to put rules and regulations on how to keep dedicated to this thing, and you're going to lay out outlines and guidelines. And a lot of people aren't dedicated to being understood in what their position is, and then people are manipulating these people's dedication and expecting them to be loyal to only turn their back against them in the end, which is another place where I've been. Like, I was dedicated to people because my parents in a marriage of 43 years have been dedicated to each other. So I watched loyalty, dedication. I don't know if they perfect. I don't know if they had flaws and stuff, but from what they displayed, it was this team effort to raise us 6 kids. They had a common goal, and they didn't let people from the outside get in what they had going on, which is what a lot of people.
By any means necessary.
A lot of people let outside interceptions come in and do stuff, you know what I'm saying, and then don't want to be accountable. It's like, I wish that people would watch me be accountable. I'm doing my best. No, I ain't perfect, but just like I'm saying, if I am speeding with them good tires and thinking I can get away with it, and that officer clocked me, if you wrong somebody, you know, be accountable. Mm-hmm. That's the only way your life is going to change.
Mm-hmm. But you got a lot of people who they'll put it on other people. They want to accept responsibility for, like you said, whatever you're going to do, be good at it. I can think about, my dad passed in November.
Sorry for that.
A video that he made on Snapchat.
Your daddy made a snap.
Yeah, my daddy made a snap. But what he was saying was, he was introducing himself to Snapchat. He told him who he was. He said, I ain't nothing to be messed up with. If you don't like it, stay from around me. So after he passed, I continued to listen to that over and over and over and over. And I said, you know what? I'm Erlisha Young. I'm from Stark, Florida.
Stark.
I ain't nothing to be messed up with. If you think I'm boring, if you think I'm too churchy, whatever it is that you think about me, I'm me. And if you don't like it, stay from around me.
Is that easy?
And even after my daddy has transitioned on, something that he said still matters. We walk around here trying to be what people want us to be. And it sounds like to me what you were saying was you tried to be what you thought you could be. Not understanding that your parents, they knew you better than you knew yourself. Much like who? God knows us better than we know ourselves. And they always trying to shield us. And it's the same thing with our children. Most of them, they eventually rise to the occasion, but it's that season when they don't want you to tell them nothing. And it's the same thing if you want to flip that to the church. They want you to be what they want you to be. I'm sorry, there's no owner's manual to life.
Or Christianity, or being a saved person.
Period. You make a mistake, you learn from it, you help somebody. Because somebody's either getting ready to make that same mistake, or they done made it, but they look at you and they realize, you know what, if they've been in that place, I can make it too. But we so closed in. And the way that I see it is, if you doing a thing and that's behind you, you should be able to talk about it.
Right.
You should be able to share whatever that is with somebody so that they'll know they can make it too. But at what point, after all of that, I'm going to do DC, did you realize, look, Mom and Daddy was right. I need to straighten up and fly right.
When I was homeless, sleeping outside in the cold, watching headlights pass me by all night. That's when I learned.
So the light clicked on.
I had gambled with it all kinds. I had heart attacks, kept putting coins in. I had misfortunes, friends die, still putting coins in. I did a lot of county jail time, but I never went to prison. But even in that, I would be amazed because some of the stuff I would get away with, it had to be God, because some of my homeboys went to prison for way less, but I would just continuously gamble. But one night I woke up, and it was not night, it was really early morning, like maybe 4:30, almost 5, kind of like dew on the grass. I was so high that night before I went to sleep on that grass that I slept in an ant pile.
Wow.
And ain't one ant bite me.
Wow.
That's when I knew that, one, it was a God, and two, people have favor. People. Because it ain't me. I'm not no Jesus that walk on water. I'm not no sinless person. I'm probably gonna sin again. Because I'm not like nobody to think they're better than anyone. But when I woke up and seen that I'm in a pile of ants, and then I'm looking at my body, because you know what happened with ants on you.
They tear you up.
And I'm talking about the red, the black tail,
Wow.
red ant, the big, not the little.
The bull ants.
Not the ones with the hair on them. The tiger one now. I ain't talking about that. That's going to bite you. But the point is, God has people that he going to cover through all of your disobedience, wondering when are you going to see your purpose, or when are you going to ask him for your purpose. Because the whole time you thinking you know what you're doing, so of course you ain't gonna ask him what your purpose is. You not even thinking about God because you think you God. And a lot of people they have the God state of mind that I am God. You know what I'm saying? In whatever I do, godly, and I understand and I respect that. But I just feel like you are covered by the supreme being God, who says he is who he is, whatever he is. But that night, even though I didn't stop using, it clicked like, boy, this ain't where you supposed to be. Like, and you done did it all. Like, you done been out here, you done went from top to bottom, you done surpassed all of the people's ambition on getting to the top. Like, in all facets of negativity, I was basically closest to the sources you're going to get without dying. And maneuvering and elevating through these levels of negativity, whether you want to call it up, or my preference is to call it down, to the deepest level of the basement, and God allow you to walk back up.
Wow.
You don't have to run. No one's chasing you. You're not forced out. But because you, as a person, God gives you your own mind and the ability ability to decide, no matter how bad or deep you in, to decide that this is it, and we're gonna go that way. Now, the objective in me is to see how far that way I can get. Because when I had the second heart attack, it was right before I got married, but I had the second heart attack. It was a mild one, but it was still a heart attack. It's because I was still trying to do it my way.
Wow.
I was like, and I learned that in 2014. That was the last heart attack I had. In 2014, I was like, okay, so even though you think you can dibble and dab like everyone else does, you can't. And ain't nobody gonna nobody but you and God. See, that's where the accountability come in, because ain't nobody gonna nobody. You could totally get away in the public eye with what you're doing, but if it ain't right by you, God gonna make you accountable for it. And I'm trying to make life accountable for me in a positive manner, the same deep way I went negatively.
And I truly believe in my heart that the people around you, they see your passion and your pursuit. They see that, I remember when,
man,
but now look, and it's like they see, and when people see that change, they want to support whatever it is that you're doing. But in order to understand where I am now, you got to understand where I come from.
Listen, it is still hard not to do wrong.
Very much so.
Man, because it's a creature of nature and habit, and those things, they have these strongholds in your mind that like constantly toil at you. Come back, just for a moment, just come back. And that's a war that you're fighting too daily, with the war also of maintaining the legitimate mind state and focused on, because I can't speak on a world sense, but anywhere in my area, in the darkest places, if these people were questionable, which of course you ain't gonna know who they are, the reality of the things, but if these people are watching, they shaking their head like, yeah, DC was there, like, we seen that, we know he could do that, like, and it's a phone call, ain't no hesitation. So to see him separated but not thinking he better than nobody, I'm still able to interact and speak, and because they say you can't continue to have the same place as friends. That's not true. That is not true. You must separate to build strength.
Yes.
You have to get from around those things to build up the strength. But once you build the strength, it is okay to go back around those things to show them the light that God has in you, to bring them out too, because there is no man supposed to be left behind.
That's what the word says.
When you clear your mind, it's not for you to down talk or look like you're better than. It is to elevate yourself. That may seem to look better than, because you may not feel that you can do the same thing. You can buy some nice threads. You can wear a hat. You can put glasses on and pay for them yourself, coming from not being able to buy a soda. You don't have to look down at somebody for elevating themselves. What it should do is motivate you, because that's what it did to me when that night woke me up and I started seeing the people that I had in my life. Because you have all of the assets in your life. It's just up to you to see them and begin to use them. But once I seen that, man, I know this dude that do this, and I got this lady that do that, and my auntie can help me do this, and I got a cousin that do that. And only reason these people not helping me because I'm not doing right by myself.
That's it.
But God got everything around you that you need, so once you find it and you see it, use it to succeed. And that's what I'm trying to show. Like, it will be an amazing, impossible feat if God take me from where I was and publicly show people.
This is what I can do.
Not that DC's doing anything or make DC this type of person to go by, but just to believe that there is a God that will help anybody who believes the same way He helping me. Now, is my life perfect? No. I'm continuing to work on things that I need to do to better myself and make better decisions. But from where I came from, it is amazing to know how powerful God is if you just have the faith of a mustard seed.
And the whole thing too is, DC, that we all got a process.
Yeah.
And we may not think so, but you know, it says that before we even were created, He already knew everything about us. So He knew about all of the humps and bumps. He knew the times that we were going to go left, right, front. He knows all of those things. But sometimes our mind tells us what? You the only one. Ain't nobody else dealing with this. So it's like this isolation, which causes you not to want to do better. But when you have something like the divine intervention, this is a place where people can be themselves and be real and tell people about, look, this is how God divinely intervened in my life.
He intervened.
And if He had not stepped in, you said you was in a bed of ants.
A whole bed.
Homeless. I know, doggone well, you didn't have to be in that place.
No.
You had loving parents. You had siblings. You could have called on any one of them at any time, but it was your disobedience that landed you in that place. But even with all of your mess, it's like a cake. You put all of those different ingredients together, and that's what God does for us. I will take your mess and watch how I work this miracle. And when I look at your life, that's what I see. Every young man should know that there's no matter where you've been or what you've done or where you presently are, all you have to do is make up in your mind that I want to change. And in doing that, realize I got an auntie over here, I got my mama, my daddy here, I got all of these people in my midst that love me, and all I got to do is just change me and my perspective.
But even if you don't have nobody, you still got God.
That's it.
Because me being a barber, I see so many people that have so many different stories, and some of them are parentless, some of them they done lost several children, and it's hard for a parent to bury one, but for a parent to lose several children horrifically, like people have these lonelinesses in life. But I'm here to tell you that it is a God, even in that will give you peace and joy, and it ain't always peaceful, but the moments do come through God. Like, I'm a firm believer He would never put more on you that you can bear than you can bear. And sometimes it be heavy, but you're going to wake up tomorrow.
Yes. It's like you got a path, you have two paths. You do it your way, which we know the enemy of our soul, he's going to help you do it to the best of your ability. And then you got this way that is very narrow, but as you begin to walk this way, it's like, okay, God got me for real. Like, I'm in rooms that I never even been. I got people that was when they see me coming, like, uh-oh, there you go. Now they ready to come on board with what I'm doing. And it's all because I decided. I'm reminded of a GPS. You know that little aggravating voice? Turn left. Go down 2 miles and turn left. And then if you go the wrong route, make a U-turn in 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
And she keep going on and on. It's the same way. There's always that thing saying, you need to make a U-turn. You done went the wrong way. Constantly. But we get so distracted and just so caught up in the things that come with this life that we ignore it. We have a compass. We have a guide. But we have to decide within ourselves that that ain't for me.
Yes.
Life is about choices. You can choose or you can lose.
It's about choices.
Whatever you decide. If you're going to be good, be good. If you're going to be flawed, be flawed. If you're going to be bad, be bad. But whatever it is, stand for it.
Right.
Period. And it's much like, I got to go back to the church. If you're going to be saved, be saved. Walk in love. Love don't discriminate.
Right.
So if you're going to be that, be that. But if you're going to be in the world, be in the world. Don't be trying to be church on Sunday, then Monday through Friday, you in the world, and then Saturday you realize you need to get it together so you can go back in front on Sunday. That's why so many people are confused, because they don't have that example anymore to follow, because they see so many people this way, that way. They don't know what to believe. But I just hope on today that it was just something shared that encouraged you to just take inventory of yourself and your life, and also the people around you. Because one thing that we didn't talk about was when we make choices, it affects everybody. It affects everybody. So just be encouraged. We all have a process. It's a song that I love to hear it. I started from the bottom, but now I'm here. And that's not something that you can do on your own.
No.
You have to make a choice. At this moment, I'm going to allow, because we could talk about so many different things, him to just close this thing out and just encourage the hearts and minds, and especially of our male generation. We are so much better. You guys are so much better than what society says. All you have to do is make your mind up, and you can do anything, no matter what it is. And like he said, if you don't have nobody else, you got God. Period.
I just feel like if I could leave anything with anybody, kid-wise, adult-wise, teenagers, man, we have to work together as a unit in order to succeed in life. There should be no competition. It only should be trying to perfect your best. But in competition, we separate, which is a tool of destruction, separation. So if I could leave anything, man, understand the power of teamwork. I was a high school athlete. I loved to practice, because practice always prepares you to play. And in practice, you have to practice hard. So that's how you get these star athletes. Like, they go over and beyond. And if we do that in teamwork together, the world is a better place. That's all I gotta leave. Let's work together, man. Stop competing. Perfect yourself, but let's work together.
Again, I'm your host. This is DC, better known as Danny Floyd, Williston, Florida.
Country boy.
This is the Divine Intervention. I love you all. Join me on next Saturday at 1 o'clock. Be blessed.